Well, it's 3 good practices, so I'm assuming everything's good. I asked him after how it felt. He said good. So, all those things have to be checked off by the trainers and doctors, but based on where he is, it looks like he's good.
What's the biggest thing that a guy like that brings back to the lineup after missing a little bit?
There's enthusiasm. Our practices get a little more energetic. It's in the room, gets a little more energetic. I think it's a real positive having him back and that leadership and back in the room. And so it's just a kind of a boost all the way around.
Does he play the same minutes right away, Peter, do you figure, or how do you do
That's
that?
going to have to be managed a little bit. You'll have to be a little bit careful, but it's not going to be low minutes. I just think you can't get up to the 26, kind of 27-minute area. You probably try to keep him around 22, but it's still a lot for most people. But, we'll have to watch and see how he's performing and how he is. Sometimes you'll lose your timing a little bit. You can't get in practice what you get in the game, so we'll have to be smart about it, but we'll watch him closely.
Historically, he matches up against the first line. Does he wind up in that same circumstance?
I think that we'll have, Morgan and Roman have been doing that a little bit since he's been gone, so we'll share that a little bit, but he'll definitely get time.
What would your evaluation be of the defense corps without Dion in the lineup, Peter?
I think that they've had good moments. We saw some really good time out of Morgan while he's gone, and he stepped up in some areas. And other areas, everyone sees that he'll make some bad decision with the puck. But young players do that. That's normal. But I think that there's been good times and not so much. But we've, as a team, have had some positive direction. So we just got to keep going. We definitely miss him though.
With Morgan, what he's been able to do for you, though, is there a temptation then to not necessarily scale those minutes back, even with Dion in?
Well, he's still going to play his 20-something minutes, so we'll see what the situation arises. Are we up or are we down? Where are we in the game? How is he playing? I think we just have to kind of play. If Morgan's on his game and he's going really well, you play him a little bit more.
Peter's the development of some awfully good defensemen in Nashville. From what you've seen of this year of Morgan, where is he from the beginning to now, and where can he go?
Well, what I see is a really extremely talented young guy. He's 20 years old. And most guys aren't playing in the NHL when they're 20 years old. Most guys are getting their first chance at 22. And, then they play a couple seasons. When they become really good is when they're 24 years old. So he's above the curve. At this point in his career, playing what he's played already at 20 years old is quite amazing that he can play so well at times. And so that maturity level is continually going to grow. And so I think he's above the curve, and he just has to keep pushing himself and every day resetting himself back into working at the things that he's not as good as. Young players like to work at the things that they're really good at, not the things that they need to work on. So we've been pretty diligent about showing him areas, his decision-making, where he is on the ice, every situation. We show him little clips, and I think he's responding.
How hard is it to teach decision-making when it's a thinking, instantaneous position?
Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, you're going to reinforce that by the next time that situation arises. You're going to show him again. And these things don't just get corrected because, like you say, that there's pressure and things are happening very fast. And you just got to keep talking about it, showing them. And they usually start to get it and it starts to come along. But he's a type of player that responds well. He responds well the next day. And so, like I say, though, I think that he is above the curve right now.
What do you see in the Flyers team that hasn't done necessarily well against teams below them in the standing?
Well, I see them. They've been trending up pretty well, pushing to get back, getting in that playoff spot. They didn't win last night, but they've got an extremely dangerous power play. That Giroux group is a special power play. They got a lot of veterans out there that they play with passion and they play hard. So I'm sure, like any team, they want their team to be more consistent. That's what I'm looking at, is a consistent effort all the time. Our hands are going to be full. They're a team that's fighting just to get in playoffs.
33-year-old rookie goaltender provide a challenge, or might it go both ways, given that he's not too familiar with what Toronto has?
Well, I think that we'd be more of a challenge when you had their number one goalie in there, but young guys come in and they can steal the show. I mean, they can come in, they either can feel the pressure or they can go in and just play loose and play. And so you never know, but we're going to be prepared. We have to worry about how we're going to put the pucks towards them and how much traffic and time we can put in front of them, so make it hard on them.
Peter, Jonathan Bernier mentioned that, you know, he reached a point recently where he's like, I'm just going to focus on myself here, worry about my game, not get lost in all the frustrating. Are you finding that you're coaching guys more on an individual level as you've gone through this stretch now, trying to go to each guy's individual pride and motivational factors?
Well, I think we're going through this stretch. We've been looking at a lot of different ways, though that included being individual talks about how their game is and what they're going to do. That's part of that, how they're going to contribute and what are they contributing at this time. We've gone through stretches with almost every player where we thought that they can contribute more in this area and that area, and it's a natural thing to get them, but we're trying to keep that team basis up so that they feel accountable to the team.
With Bernier, is there something that tells you he's in his zone or he's got his game back? Is there a certain save he makes or a certain presence he has?
Well, he works pretty hard at it. Even in a lot of those games that he lost, they were one-goal games, and you know, he's battled through it. But you can see when he's on, he's not. Sometimes pucks are bouncing off you, and you feel like you're struggling a little bit. But he's battling. He's a warrior. Last game, I thought earlier on, you could see pucks were bouncing a little bit, but he battled right through and did a great job to keep us in and help us get that game win.
At any part during that stretch, did you go to him and be like, I know we're not giving a lot of goal support here. You'd gone 10 straight without a win. I think 7 of the games you only got 1 goal support.
You know what? I don't really try to address it with him in that way because that's separating him from the team. His part is to keep it under 2 goals, and you know he has to do his part, and everyone has to do their part. And, he's a great team guy. He's been a leader for us all year long. In the meeting, he's in our leadership meeting group. He cares about the team winning and losing, and so you know he's the type of guy I don't have to worry about most of the time.
As good as 3 days between, or at least 5 days between games, would you prefer game, day, game in terms of a preparation and a rhythm at least?
Well, we've done a lot of that where there's a game every other day. You know, what it does is it just changes how long your practices are and to what extent they can be. It's nice to have a couple of times where you can practice. You can do more grind and do more areas where you think that they can body up, especially with what I think we need to continue to work at. So I think it's sometimes nice and sometimes nice to get right back at it.